My mother. The Hitman's Bodyguard is directed by Patrick Hughes and stars Ryan Reynolds, who plays Michael Bryce, a former AAA bodyguard who then gets drafted in by a member of Interpol to take Darius Kincaid, Samuel L. Jackson, to testify against a gentleman called Djokovic, played by Gary Oldman, in exchange for releasing his wife from jail. This movie, from every trailer I'd seen, every promotional bit of material I'd seen, this seemed like a really light-hearted and really funny film. And guys, straight off the bat, as I always do, I can thoroughly agree with that statement. This is a really light-hearted and funny film. I really enjoyed myself with this one. You really get what you pay for with this movie. Of course, you get Ryan Reynolds in his typical brand of Deadpool style, you know, sarcastic humour with this one, and it's what you're never supposed to take it too seriously, and that's fine, and that's totally what you get, because during the down spiral after his last piece of bodyguard duty that went terribly wrong, if you have seen the movie you'll know exactly what I mean, it's still entertaining. He now has to work for lower end drunk, usually stoned clients and things like that, and it makes it entertaining. It doesn't ever sort of dwell on the fact that he's always a bit down on his luck and silly, and I really like that. It kept me entertained throughout, really. Of course, Samuel L. Jackson killed it in this movie. He's back to his mother himself, of course. Usual brand of humour. I have not seen him this funny since maybe Kingsman, which he was also hilarious in. I loved him in this movie. For me, he was the standout performance for me. Absolutely loved it. If anything, I feel like the characters play exaggerated versions of their own personalities, or anything that people have said that they are in the media. It almost feels like they've just sort of blown it up to make themselves even more entertaining, which is absolutely fantastic. And really, I love a self-parody. If people know what they're like in sort of outside the movie circles, and then they start using it to their advantage in their movies, I can not find that more entertaining. I love that, and I think it is totally underused a lot of the time now, because people take themselves maybe a little bit too seriously, but these two just don't, and I love that, and that really works for their chemistry together, and it really works in their comedy as well. I really loved it, and I really dug it. Also, a surprisingly good performance from Selma Hayek, who I didn't realise was in this movie until the title screen at the very start of the film. Now, I didn't look into this movie before I went, so actually not doing that really helped, because she absolutely killed it. She wasn't on the screen for very long, but when she was, my god, I was in a packed out theatre watching this movie, and everyone was slain with every line she was saying. She really put the other two guys to shame in a lot of scenes. Just absolutely nailed it. A total shock, and I love the fact that I was shocked by it. It just made her even funnier. Also, Gary Oldman playing a bad guy again, a Russian again, but it's Gary Oldman. You know that is gonna be flawless, and of course it was. He was intense and extremely dark at times, which does bring me on to the bad points of this movie. Of course, this is an action comedy, and I get that, but at times the movie sort of loses itself in tone. The scenes in a courtroom near sort of in the middle and near the end of the movie, they show you what Gary Oldman's character has been doing to the people that he looks after in Russia, and to be honest with you, it can get really dark. Some of these things are like, whoa, this is just a 15 light-hearted action comedy thing. This isn't supposed to be that dark. I'm not going to tell you, of course, if you've not seen the movie, what you see. It's not overly gruesome, but it's not like family viewing kind of thing either. It can be kind of dark, and it sort of misplaces those dark elements into this movie to the point where you sort of feel bad for laughing at certain points, because you're still laughing from the previous joke in a previous scene, and then this comes on and it's a bit like, whoa, you know, it's very odd in places, and it sort of loses interaction with the audience when you're trying to be funny, when you put all this really overly heavy stuff in it. Don't get me wrong, this is an extremely funny and entertaining movie, but it also has a lot of what I call a throwaway factor. Now, if you don't know what that is, you gotta let me explain. It's one of those movies that if you're bored one day and you've got nothing on, it might be raining outside, Netflix might have just clicked it on for you, and you're just sitting there with the girlfriend or your significant other or whoever, and you just sort of think, should we chuck it on? And it's just one of those things you don't have to pay much attention to. The story isn't overly convoluted, so you don't really have to check up on it all that much. It's just sort of on an explodey action funny movie. Great performances, yes, but very throwaway in its story elements. That for me is what a throwaway movie sort of is. This movie really reminds me of sort of 3 movies as well. I kept thinking it through like the very first 10 minutes of this movie. I kept thinking it's more of a cross between Spy, Johnny English, and maybe a little bit of like buddy cop movies, or maybe buddy movies like Planes, Trains and Automobiles or Due Date. All of those sort of rolled into one. You've got the 2 people not getting on with each other and then getting on with each other in the end, like Due Date. You've got the really polished fight scenes like in Spy with the comedy also involved, and you've also got the goofball elements of Johnny English. I think if you put all those 3 together, you would have a baby that would become Hitman's Bodyguard. It is one of those movies. That's not necessarily saying it's a bad thing, but it's not going to break any boundaries. It's not going to break box office records, guys. This is a standalone, throwaway, average movie. Guys, as I said, this movie is funny, and it is actually as well extremely average. Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds' performances, they gel so well together. You can tell they had so much fun on this movie. Selma Hayek, an incredible cameo from a woman I didn't think was actually all that funny to begin with, but she absolutely killed it for me in this movie as well. And the scenes that she had with Samuel L. Jackson blow the roof off in terms of comedy. They were absolutely fantastic. Gary Oldman, of course, it's Gary Oldman. You're not going to get a bad performance from the man. But with all of that being said, guys, this average movie gets an average score. So The Hitman's Bodyguard gets my score of 2.5 out of 5. Sorry guys, but average gets an average score. So there you have it, guys. That is my review of The Hitman's Bodyguard. If you have seen the movie, then please let me know what you thought about it. Of course, I'd love to know. And of course, don't forget, follow me on all the social networks, all those things. Click that subscribe button. You guys know the drill, and I'll see you all in the next video.